I want to bring in now Jason Chaffetz, former House Oversight Committee Chairman and Fox News contributor. Jason, welcome today. First of all, you're talking about so-called rescue plans for people. When you look at a price tag of $6.1 trillion, who exactly is Joe Biden as president rescuing who wants that as a bill to saddle the American people with?
Well, remember, there's mandatory programmatic spending that is, approaching $3 to $4 trillion a year. I don't think much of that is calculated into that. Look, what the promise of Joe Biden is a lie. The promise of Joe Biden and the reality of Joe Biden are two totally different things. He promised to unite the country, to bring the country together, to work in a bipartisan way. He's never even had a conversation with Kevin McCarthy, and I'm not even sure that he's even met with Mitch McConnell, the minority leader in the Senate. So he makes no pretense of trying to work and unite the country. I think the radical liberal left will cheer this and think it's wonderful. Even AOC is thinking, wow, he's doing even better than expected. But for those true centrists who decide elections and who thought, oh gosh, Joe Biden will bring the country together, he's not. He's tearing us apart. He's installing a radical agenda, and he is pushing trillions of dollars faster than you can possibly imagine.
You keep using that word radical, and now I want to get to this. A new CNN op-ed says Joe Biden is going to showcase his moderate radicalism tonight. Well, that's an interesting phrase. What exactly is that?
That is total political spin. Moderate radicalism. No, he wants to fundamentally transform this country. He's destroying jobs, destroying the energy sector. I mean, can you point the number one thing? Let me put it this way. The number one thing that Joe Biden can point to as being a success is something that Donald Trump started with the vaccination program. The other things are just wildly spending money as fast as he possibly can. And they want to institute this because they know for a very limited amount of time they have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. They don't need Republicans. So, again, the promise of Joe Biden and the reality are two totally different things. But his agenda, make no mistake, is very radical.
Well, and those centrists that you're talking about, they are going to go to the polls. Midterm elections are usually quite a challenge for a sitting president. They're making plans early based on what you just said. Fierce criticism now, Jason, I want to talk about this. Washington Post fact checker Glenn Kessler is taking heat. He says he doesn't plan to keep a database of President Biden's falsehoods beyond his first 100 days in office. Kessler tweeted about it. We've been comparing Biden's 67 false or misleading claims to Trump's first 100 days, 501 claims. In the last 100 days before the 2020 election, we counted 8,859 claims made by Trump. It was a wild ride. Critics pounced. Also on Twitter, the Biden presidency is over. Rest easy. And definitely no bias here. Nothing to see here, as they said in Star Wars. Jason, your thoughts?
Yeah. Just don't even need to keep track of it because we already know over the next 3 years he's not going to make any mistakes. Look how infrequently Joe Biden actually speaks. It's just rare to none that he actually comes up to the microphone and speaks. And when he does, he's reading a script, unlike what Donald Trump was just, speaking off the cuff. I don't mind having fact checkers try to go out and point things out. But I got to tell you, the agenda from some of these national media outlets, traditional media, it is so biased. America knows it. They are just liberal, left-wing newsletters at this point.
It's so true what you're saying just in terms of what we get to see now. I see it this way. Keep showing us. Give us that transparency to those biased media members because you know what? We can believe them once they show us who they are. I want to get to this. South Carolina Senator Tim Scott will be delivering Republicans' response to President Biden's address tonight. And Senator Scott is expected to make, as you know, Jason, the case that Democrats' agenda will crush taxpayers and kill economic growth. Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa called Scott the right voice at the right time. Watch.
I do anticipate that his message will focus on the GOP and what we bring to Americans, and that is freedom and prosperity and economic growth. It is a voice of unity, which is exactly something that the Democrats have turned their back on.
All right, so you started by saying that what this is going to be tonight with Joe Biden is going to be boring and radical. That will be a huge departure from Senator Tim Scott, because he is not a boring guy and he is not radical.
Senator Tim Scott is the real deal, and I think he has a magical moment to be able to show America what conservative values and conservative principles can do for this country. And ultimately, you have to do what Margaret Thatcher had said. That is, first you got to win the argument, then you can go win the votes. Personally, I believe that Mitch McConnell should step down as the minority leader, and they ought to put Tim Scott there, and he will show that tonight. Because if you want to draw a contrast between Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden, there is no better person to do that on a daily basis than Senator Tim Scott. He lives it, he breathes it, he believes in it, his backbone, and he has solutions like opportunity zones. And he is the true leader of the Republican Party right now, in my mind.
Real quickly, because I know I have to let you go, Jason, you know where else Tim Scott collides with the liberal messaging? It's on police reform. And he's planning to bring back the legislation that he had pitched to the Senate. Try and bring that back right in the middle of a conversation that the whole country is having about policing. What are your thoughts about him talking about that tonight?
Well, he should, because he can speak from his heart. He has an actual bill. He told the Democrats, let's debate this. I'll give you 20-plus amendments. Let's go on the floor. Let's vote this. Democrats didn't even want to bring it up because they don't want somebody like a Senator Tim Scott going out and actually talking about real solutions. They want to paint Republicans as this radical, racist, a radical group out there. Try saying that to Tim Scott. You just can't do it. It won't work.
Jason Chaffetz, always great to see you. Thank you.